I'm going to start with my favorite Mike, because Mike always has a question. Mike, please shoot at me, and we'll go from there.
How's it going, David?
Hello, buddy.
I mean, this week's focus has been very heavily on organizing and just kind of doing some cleaning house as far as, I guess, building a better foundation to build on. So, I mean, I'll keep it kind of vague so that everyone can kind of relate to it, but I'm really curious on how you manage there's a bunch of things that need to be done, right? And that's kind of my problem, is there's necessary evils that get in the way from the larger picture items that I'm trying to do. And, like I always have trouble balancing out the priorities, because to me, they all kind of feel like priorities to a certain degree. Like, let's say it's my accounting versus my taking care of a current customer, or certain maintenance things I need to do with my business. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out how to organize that chaos. I know it's kind of a repetitive theme with me, but I feel like I'm getting towards the end of it. But how would you organize yourself throughout your day-to-day operations, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
There's a bandwidth capacity that we all have. That's the ability that we can do things and we can't do things. That's just the reality of it, right? There's only so much that we can do. Even myself, there's so much I can do. So I started developing a team, right? That's why I have Lawrence and Travis and Anna, because I'm developing a team to kind of grow what I can. I mean, I just don't have the time to do all this stuff, or I don't know how to do this stuff. These people are very specialty of what I'm trying to do. But the very first question I'm going to tell you, Mike, is, and not getting very specific, but I will tell you this. What in your business, or what client, or what situation is taking too much bandwidth and the cost benefit ratio doesn't make sense? Because you only have three choices right now. Continue to have chaos and keep feeling the way you feel. 2, drop some clients or drop some divisions or whatever thing that you have to drop that doesn't have the benefit ratio. But what the difference is because, but you have to do that because you let go of your ego. That's really important. And the third thing is really, really hire people to set up the right structure and go from there. That's it. There are no other answers at this point. And I say that in all honesty because, you know, I talk about Katie a lot, but I remember when I had all the bars and restaurants, I know I was growing and expanding and buying and doing all this stuff. And she pulls me aside and she goes, "You're doing all this for your ego." And when I realized that, that's when I got rid of certain bars, because I was so more worried about what people were going to say about me or my competitors taking the market share, but I was happier, right? If it's a hiring situation, then, you know, there's only so much limitation because COVID is COVID and money is money and it's tight. So you have to pick and choose what the right things are and take the right people to take those things from you. And if you can't do that part, then this part, all the businesses aren't making money, just drop it. I don't care how much money you put into it and what you invest in it. It's not making you money. It's not making you happy. And if you can't afford to bring on the right people to help you out, then it's still the same problem, which is chaos, right? I can't hire everyone in the world that I wish I could. I can't afford it. I just can't. So I drop things that I can't do. I can't do this. I drop it. It's that simple. That's what you have to do. Or in my case, if I can't afford certain things, then I'm like, okay, this person can do this. I'll pay this person, but I'm not going to do this. Because the reality is, I know my ego, what I really know how to do, what I don't know how to do, how much time I have, how much self-discipline I'm really implementing the type of things, and how much I'm not. That, to me, is really kind of the reality of the situation. So you have to ask yourself, but there's no way out of it. That's the only answer. It's one of those three at this point. But you have to figure it out. Or you're going to keep feeling the way you're feeling. You know what I mean? And that's something that concerns me, because I do want you to break out of that thing. And we're going to realize that sometimes cutting off certain businesses or certain industries or certain people are the best thing that could have ever happened to you, because it creates more freedom.
So
that makes sense?
Yeah,
no problem.
That's huge.
Ashley, what about you?
Hello.
Hi.
I think now it's just I've finished my NCLEX and I'm just going to wait for the results. And now they're not hiring nurses at the moment. So I feel like during this time I'm not working, so it's like I kind of need to push forward with the social media. I just don't know, like, should I start off with YouTube or continue to do TikTok until I get my monetization from there? I feel a little bit stuck.
My answer for all the social media that I do and the teams, because we're not just doing my social media, we're doing plenty of the other companies, and these guys will tell you that they have to send videos of what I talk about, a 1-minute video daily, right? And they're helping me with my social media. I'll answer it very, very simply. Efficiency. You record a whole entire video, your YouTube audience, a TikTok audience, they're the same type of demographic. Just people want, some people for TikTok, some people for YouTube. That's the way it works. People prefer what they prefer the social networks is because it's based on their egos. How many more people are there? I'll give you an example. Me, 80-some-odd thousand followers on Instagram, 100 on TikTok. So I'm like, ego. But what I should be doing, and what I would encourage you to do, is when you're doing your videos and things like that, why can't you broadcast the same thing on both channels? What if your TikTok is a 1-minute video, then your YouTube should be the extended version. Think of your TikTok as your preview and your YouTube as your long term. Be efficient. It's not based on different things. LinkedIn is a whole different ballgame. But you have to be efficient in what you're trying to do. So my team will tell you 30-minute segments that we're doing, an hour segments that we're doing, we're cutting and editing 1-minute clips. And then the other times they're used for different things. They all know this. We all know this is what it is. That's the efficiency. I don't have time to record for different platforms. I'm just too busy. So you have to understand what your demographic is, know your audience. And when you grow your audience, you'll be able to grow your own brand. That's extremely important.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Lily, what about you?
Honestly, just what you answered, like for Ashley, that's kind of where I am, like where I tell you I don't like posting on social media, so I have been trying to make myself post more.
I'm waiting for you to add me. We're not friends yet, so make sure you do that.
We're not. Oh, I'm really bad.
Don't worry about it. But if you want some direction, I can help you look at that. But what were you saying though?
So I mean, I'm just taking everything you told Ashley, like taking it, as well, because that's where I am. That's where I struggle the most, is like just putting myself out there.
Right. Look, guys, when I first started doing this, the reason I don't have a YouTube yet, but I will be having it, is because I was too uncomfortable with the things that weren't growing and big enough. I was very comfortable with things that I had. What I realized, and what Gary, always preaches, if one social media network goes down, you're screwed. That's not really your brand. If you're a true brand, you're growing brand in all your directions and everything else. I mean, I'm even in China. I have my own, I handle that on my own, social media side of things. There is no manual on how to do it right. I have a friend, one of my best friends, he went viral on TikTok. He has 7.5 million views, like that. I would have never thought that was a recipe. Then he turns around and he posts other ones, and it's becoming less and less. So my point is keep producing. I mean, it's how I feel. I look at myself and I'm like, dude, how come I only have 2 comments on this video? Maybe I shouldn't be tagging them anymore. Maybe I'm being annoying. Then I'm like, how come I have this and I have 300 comments? I don't get it, but I don't allow it to bother me, because my belief is that if I show this in the universe and I'm truly trying to do the right things, somebody out there will hear it and it will grow and it will inspire and make them better. That's what I really believe. And I feel like when you're doing social media, if you know your demographic and what you're trying to show, that's what it is. Remember, people don't know that you're a nurse or you're a personal trainer or you own your own company. They see what you allow them to see on social media. So what are you trying to brand? That's my question. You can't be one way or too much the other. I have to be centered. I love to show my cars. And I see my friends who might not have as much of a luxury side, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers because of their car. And I'm like, well, I have a better car. How come I can't do that? I have a car audience. But I'm a universal person. I have universal things. I do more than one thing. So therefore I have to be balanced. The thing that worries me the most when you guys are posting is you're too extreme. Literally, you're too extreme. Tone it down and bring it centered. You can't allow this life to bite this life in the butt and this life to bite this life in the butt. You have to be the masses because you're moving in a direction of growing. If you're an influencer and you're a nurse, that's an answer. If you're an influencer in real estate, that's the answer. You can't be too extremes because the two lifestyles are very extreme. So at Deloitte and at the clubs, I'd be very neutral what I did. I would be, because I was too much about the clubs. Like, I'll give you an example. If I promoted think about Deloitte, very traditional accounting finance firm. I think about all the clubs I've owned. Most of you probably have been there. So think about it, okay? Now, there's a difference between promoting a photo of me and Mike Cortez smiling and saying, hey, we're at Plum together. And then there's a difference between me and Mike Cortez pouring drink down each other's mouths and slapping people's booties. I'm still promoting the club. The difference is it's an extreme. What is now the thought? What is your thought process when I told you the first one, the second one? The second one was very unappealing to the people that are here in my room. The first one was, oh, that makes sense. Don't be an extreme. When I'm at Deloitte, I'm sitting there and I talk about the people I meet. I don't talk about accounting practices. Who cares about accounting practices? I don't care about accounting practices. So why would I do? Hi. Why would I do that? That is the $1 million question. You can't be too extreme. If you are in two different roles like I was, traditional accounting and club owner, you have to be the middle. And most of you guys are both. You have to be in the middle to do it right. That's the simple answer. Be in the middle. Stop being the extremes. It's not helping you guys. Because if you were just one side, that's okay. If you just on the other side, that's okay. You have in general audience. Don't be extreme. Go straight and go from there. Okay? Jess, what about you?
I'm a little intrigued with what you just said right now about being extreme, because I think I haven't found my balance, or I don't know how to find a balance in that.
Well, it's what you want people to see you as. Look, dude, I'll be very, very simple. If you think your mom and dad are going to be embarrassed about it, don't do it. My simple answer. If you think that your kids 20 years are not going to see it and you're going to be embarrassed about it, don't do it. Don't make excuses. Don't lie to yourself. Listen, if you just want to show the outside of yourself, and that's what you're doing right now to grow your brand and business, to do what you want to do, that's great. I have a lot of friends who do that stuff. And they're really good at it. I have a friend who has millions of followers and she's a model. I get it, right? Katie's a model. I understand it better than anyone else. I've owned clothing companies and fashion brands. But when I put something out, I am always under the scrutiny of what is my hater? Can my haters use this against me to hurt what I'm doing? So I don't make political comments. I don't make religious comments. Even though I don't think a lot of things are right, I keep my mouth shut. I'm from Taiwan. We don't like China. I don't ever talk about China. The moment I open that up, maybe it's because I'm under those circumstances, China will shut you down and ban you from the country. So I make zero comments about China. Even though I don't necessarily agree with anything, I keep my mouth shut. I'm very aware before I post even if when I talk and I curse, right? I've tried to tone that down a lot. It's because Newt's like, dude, I can't put this up there. I'm like, okay, that's a great point. So I try to tone that down. And that's why you don't ever hear me drop the F-bomb. Maybe in our sessions, but you never hear me on my 1-minute videos. What's the extreme? When you do things like, let me give you an example. If next week I put up a post with all my nice cars in front of my big old house, and I say, look at everything I have, I'm amazing. Or I say some silly quote, people are like, that guy is an arrogant SOB. Why are you mentoring him? But if I say, I never thought I'd become homeless, and after I've lost everything, I still be able to do this, that's inspiring. Extremes. That's the difference. It's what you say. And if you're not aware of that now, you better be aware very, very soon, because your whole entire image and brand is based on those extremities. People want to hurt you. People want to make you fail because they're miserable. That's why they don't attend these sessions. That's why the sessions are less and less or more and more, or we have people that jump in and out because they can't vibe with trying to be a better human being. But the funny part about that is that was lesson one. That was your ego. I'm not charging you thousands of dollars to talk to me. Give me respect of doing the things I ask you to for the 1 hour that I'm here. Extremes. But if you wait and wait and wait, you'll never know. Because at the bare minimum, if you're so uncomfortable, here's what I would tell you. Post your basic things that are in the middle. 2 or 3 different topics that you like, maybe business, maybe life, maybe whatever else, hobby, and see what the crowd interacts to. And you have the data, it's on your phone, and you'll know, okay, this is more my audience, this is less my audience, this has got more action, let me sway this way. But the thing is, you also have to be true. If I just base it on that, I would never put up another video again. Because my videos, whoa, froze again. Oh, this thing sucks. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
But if I based it off of my video interaction and lack of comments, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna start putting videos up. Can you imagine if I stopped putting videos up just based on what people's reactions were? There's a lot of people that get inspired by me that don't say anything. And then I get a random message 3 years later from a guy I just met for an investor meeting that I added on Facebook. I don't talk to him later, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know everything you're saying has really made an impact on my life. I'm like, I didn't expect Luis to message me and tell me that 3 years later. I haven't talked to him in 3 years. Universe, giving good and doing good, therefore receiving good. That's the reality of it. Don't do the extremes. And understand and go from there. Okay. Lauren, do you want to ask, do you have any questions? No?
I don't have any questions, no.
Travis?
No, I don't have any questions.
Anna? These guys talk to me every day, so they don't have any questions. Anna, go ahead.
Yeah, I've talked to David like twice today already, so he's really great. If you guys have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask him. He's a really wonderful mentor, and I think you'll all learn a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to kind of get into a couple of topics, but the first thing I want to talk about is I was in a really, really interesting session this week, and it was about being competitive people. I've never really thought of myself as a competitive. I always thought of myself as a competitive person, but right now in this stage of my life, I've never thought of myself as being a competitive person. But how can I not be a competitive person if I consider myself an alpha male? And how can I be a mentor and humble if I consider myself an alpha male at the same time? I mean, obviously, I would have had to have been competitive in order to get the things that I've received, right? It's logic. There's no other way I could have done it. What the enlightened moment was last week when I heard this discussion was this: who am I competing against? I want you to think about what I just said. Are you competing against your significant other and not knowing about it? Are they competing against you? Are you competing against your friend and not knowing about it? Your dad and your mom and not knowing about it? Are your parents doing the same thing and not knowing about it? And why do I talk about competition and the extremities of competition? Is because as a alpha male, which I consider myself to be, as a person who is trying to be humble and do good, and as a person who is in the business world, my competitive nature cannot supersede my morals and value. In other words, this is the hustler and swindler thing that I talked about a couple sessions ago. I have to be true to myself, therefore I don't lose myself. That's the reality of the situation. That's where we're at. That's where I'm at. So when I'm trying to compete and go after certain things, am I doing this and is this affecting my partner? It's affecting my friendships? Is that worth it to me? And the answer is hell no. Look, Katie was a top 5 pageant queen in Texas 2 years in a row, in Nevada. Ashley's in the system. She should have won 2 of those 3 years for sure. That is the most impossible thing to do. And as Katie is growing and everyone's looking at how beautiful and dazzling this woman is and all the things, you know what happens to me in the comments? You're with him for money. Why would you date a Chinese guy? He's overweight. You're only here because he's successful. We've been together 10 effing years. What are you talking about? That's the world. Don't feed into the negative is what I keep telling everyone. So when people say that, you know, I just block them. I don't argue with them. What am I going to argue about? That's why I tell you guys unfollow people that suck. Not to unfriend them, just unfollow them. And if they really suck, then block them. But it doesn't matter. I don't feed into my negative energy. I just don't. It's not needed. It will put me in a place mentally, even as spiritual as I think I am, that will revert back to my old ways. So that's why I don't do it. I don't feed it in. But when she was growing and showing and going for this thing, then as a man, insecurity started coming in. Even though we've been together for so many years, because I'm like, well, now she's gonna get all this attention. What's gonna happen to me? Ego. That's why I talk about ego so damn much. And I realized, at least the last 2.5 years, I realized, well, everyone's on a different path. You might be doing great here. I'm doing great here. I'm on Forbes. We don't need to compete against each other. We need to complement each other. And so when I talk about competition, I talk about couples, this isn't necessarily for boyfriend and girlfriend or husband or wife. This is for sisters and brothers. This is for mom and dad. This is for your cousin that you grew up with that now you're competing against, your high school friends, your college friends. They're not your competition. Complement each other and grow. Make them understand that we as a group and a unit, I talk about Team Panda, should be competing against everybody else who is teaching and taking people's money and teaching them the wrong things in life. That's our competition. We're all individuals. We all want to make money. We all want to do things. But as a cohesive unit, our core values have to be the same. And that's the same thing with everything else in life. Why are you competing against them subconsciously? And when I thought about that, I was like, wow. I'm like you, I'm always learning. I was like, huh, that's really interesting. How do I balance that out? How do I teach my kids to be competitive, but not make them hate each other? Because resentment comes when mom and dad compare you against somebody else. True? If you have siblings, you know what the hell I'm talking about. Resentment grows when you have friends and that one friend is doing great and you're just doing miserable. So you're not really applauding them. You're kind of like, yeah, you know what I mean? That's not what you're really doing. That's why we talked about the friends, family, associates part of it. Because you aren't realizing, well, I had no expectations for you, so I don't really care. You're my associates column. Didn't matter to me what you're thinking. That's why we talk about these things. So we talk about our egos, not our amigo. Because in competitive nature, you should be competing against everyone but your team. You should be complementing your team. This is why, and I will say this for people who watch sports, but I will give you the best analogy right now. Michael Jordan has come out, right? You guys, I'm sure everyone's at least heard about The Last Dance. But let me tell you what my takeaway was very, very quickly. Everybody knew their roles. You cannot have a bunch of Chiefs and no Indians. You always hear that stuff because everybody has to complement each other. Their competition wasn't against the person who was starting or their teammate. You never heard Jordan talk badly about Scotty. What you heard was they were competing against everyone else. So my question for you today is, are you really competing against everybody? Or should you be competing with your teammates against everybody? Two very different thought processes. And that's a lesson that obviously Anna and Lauren, I want you guys to write down and clip that, but that's where that value is. Think about when you started something with a friend and you went like this. What happened to your friend? Your friend, as a leader Another question that Katie brought up this week to me, which I thought was extremely interesting. She says, people fall off when they're working with you. That's true, man. People do fall off. I don't have people that stick around with me for a very, very, very long time because I'm very demanding. I'll tell you I'm very demanding. I need things done. I need them done quickly. If you don't get it, I get really upset. And they've seen it. My interns have seen it. They know I get upset. They also know my heart. They know that I'll give you 3, 4, 5 chances. I'll talk to you about it, and then I'll cut you off and go from there. We've done it to a couple people. Some people we've given second, 3 chances so they can stick with us. We have to inspire them. And what I realized at that point in time is they didn't understand the process. So now that you've been with me so long, you trust what I'm saying, because as I refer back to things, you're like, oh, that made sense. That was his process. He gets the process. What is the person's process? What is their process? How are they thinking? You want to be a good business person? You want to be a good relationship? What is their process? What can you fix and you can't fix? We can't fix everybody. We can't fix everything. That's why relationships are all great in the beginning. Every relationship, every partnership you're in, every friendship, every person that you're with, it's always so fulfilling in the beginning. What went wrong? Because the ego lessons, the perspective lessons, what I've realized is this: if your partner doesn't believe in your core characteristic values, even the current one where you're trying to be better, it will never work. Because you fundamentally lack the values or the concept, which goes back to the competition side. If you're competing against each other, instead of working together to compete against everybody else, that's a fundamental difference that you should just not be with that person. That's the difference. That's the value. That's the success. That to me is extremely important for you guys to understand, especially in business and in life. So hopefully, that's helped. Danny, I know you hopped on a little bit late, no problem. We're just starting off with questions today. Do you have any questions?
Not right now, but I already enjoy just you talking about the whole relationship type of thing. It's very important to have a strong relationship, whether it's with other people or with your significant other. If I think of one, I'll ask you.
Okay, cool. So another thing I want to talk about is one of the topics today is the top 5 skills to learn and to find success in any field. This is important. Number 1, this is my opinion, so don't take it for what it is, in any field. 1, as we always talk about, when you're trying to be successful in any field, the first thing you should do is know your audience. What do I mean by that? If you're trying to grow your business, I always get pitched by people on things that I already own. Why would I buy into you? You didn't spend the time to look up and understand what I was doing. You didn't know your audience. You clearly don't care about me. You clearly didn't do your research. I was clearly just a number. So therefore, I will pass on the investment opportunity. Know your audience, which goes back to social media, which goes back to everything we're talking about. Know your audience, right? That's important. Number 2, another need in any business is understanding financials. As adults, we're all paying our bills now, which sucks because I don't know who signed me up to be an adult, but whoever did needs to take it back, right? It was not something that I agreed upon. It's probably one of the worst decisions I had to make as being an adult. But I will tell you this, your finances and understanding why you don't have savings and your spending habits and your growth habits. There's a difference between spending for ego and spending to grow. There's 2 different things. I'll get into that in a second. And if I forget, someone needs to remind me before we hang up what I'm talking about. This is very specific on sales, which will help you guys. What ends up happening is when you're trying to do all this and trying to figure it out, you have to understand your finances because, like Mike said earlier, if you can't afford to pay this good person, there's only 2 options. There's only options, right? Continue to be stressed, lower your demands, or create and finish something that's new. You can't do everything. Everyone's always told me, I'm like, yeah, you can. No, we can't. As I enter my 40s, I realize I don't need to do everything. What does it matter? I just need to do a couple things that are really successful and I'm happy with it. That's all I care about, right? Maybe I'm making money here. It doesn't necessarily make me happy, but doing this every week makes me feel fulfilled. So therefore I balance my life out, right? That's the second skill set. The third, obviously, is always going to be ego. right? No matter what I do, no matter what I get into, no matter what I'm trying to do, why am I doing this? Why am I growing this? Why am I doing this new business? Why am I talking to this person? Why am I talking to somebody else? Why is someone else hitting up my DMs? And because they might be cooler, I might be talking. The reality is that's an ego-based driven decision. And every day I have to work on my ego, because last night I was sitting there looking at my social media. I was pretty upset that it dropped by 1,000 people, and like it's back and forth, and it's stuck in this limbo stage. And I look at Dan Loke, who I absolutely despise, and he's got millions of people. I'm like, what? He drives, what? He has a guy driving around a Bentley. I mean, I just bought one last week, and I still have my rolls. What are you talking about? Ego. David, I have a very personal relationship with the people here. I know if I called any of you and I said, hey, I really need a favor, can you help me out? You guys would do it for me. I know you would. Even if I've never physically met, but Mike, I really need a favor. Can you just help me pick this up? I'm out of town. There's a flood in my house. Jess, can you come and check it out for me? Just shut off my water. There's not a personal relationship with them. Ego. This is a skill set. Fourth is very, very important, right? Everything is sales. Everything is sales. Right now on social media, you're selling yourself. That's a sell. Me talking to you is selling who I am to listen to my knowledge. That is a sell. You promoting afterwards is a sell. Everything in sells. So if you know your audience and you've checked your ego and you understand your financials, that will help you with sales, because then you understand, I cannot fly to every audition around the world, even though I want to, because I just don't have the ability to do so. My finances are there, but my ego is the one that wants me to do that. Sales is important. You're always selling yourself to other people. The million versions of you that we've talked about. Everything is sales. The fifth thing that I find very imperative for every business and everything else, to me is one of the most important things is, who am I working with? If I get a new job, I said this previous session, is a person that's giving me this job going to guide me? When we make decisions on jobs, I want you guys to think about this. How many times have you made a decision based on money, location, but you never based it on mentor and growth? See, the one common thing I always see with people that fail with me and fail in general is they're here for the money, but they don't want to come to El Paso because it's the location. Dude, I've single-handedly proven you can do anything in El Paso. What are you talking about? Your ego is so big that you don't want to grow with us and make money and do these great, amazing things. So you hinder yourself by saying, I don't want to move to El Paso. I don't want to move here. I don't want to move there. If you're a business person, opportunity is key. You can do anything anywhere. I understand there's family and things like that, but you have to understand that that's a real situation and a real problem. That is a driver of failure and success. If your mentor doesn't really care about you and really wants you to grow and is working around your time frames and juggling with you, then you've hit a limit. Because what happens is, and this is what happened to me multiple times. So I'm going to tell you the story. It's a true story. When I was in blockchain with the company that I was with, this was the guy, this was me, I was number 2. He got a new Aventador. He got a new i8. He got a Rolls. He got a limo. To the people that he met because of me. The day that I bought a Rolls, 4 months later when stuff was going down, he wanted to let me go. You want to know why? His ego's there. There's a certain capacity when you enter a company. Your guys in your 20s, you can afford to not make a ton of money. In your 20s, you should be learning how to make experience and having the right person guide you and teach you the right things, because you might not be making as much money as the initial part like all my friends did. But when I hit my 30s, I blew right past them. And in my 40s, they weren't even my competition anymore. I was literally the farthest behind of every single one of my friends from high school and college. I was literally the farthest one behind. And all of a sudden, my 20s are meant to grow and educate and understand. My 30s are meant to put these procedures and understand. My 40s are starting to make money. If you listen to a clip from Jack Ma, he says it. Learn structure and understanding and how to be as a human being. Because if you don't learn that, you're never going to be able to grow. Some of us might be coming a little late. That's irrelative. The relativity is the process is the same. So if you know yourself and what you're trying to do in that area, it's going to make a big difference on how you succeed and fail. Find the right people as you're looking for a job. If you can't vibe with them in the initial interview, but you really need the job, don't take the job. Just don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. But if they want you to grow, that makes a difference. I'm not trying to rag on HR, but I'm going to talk about HR and what I mean by this. HR managers stop at a certain position, right? There's only one position, that's HR manager. If I go into HR and I want to grow, at what point can I get past this person? They fire or they get promoted. That's it. That's it. That's the path. Well, if they're going to get fired and promoted, I'm never going to grow. This is, in the next 20 years, even though I might have taken more money in the beginning and less, I capped. I stopped. That was it. I couldn't do anything else. If you've bartended before, if you worked in a restaurant, think of what I'm just telling you. The only position is assistant manager, but that's manager. If the manager's not gone, how are you going to do it unless you open another store or he gets fired or she gets fired? Who is your mentor? How are they helping you grow? Do they really care about you? Is there more positions? Is the company growing? That's how you can grow. If it's stagnant and stuck, you'll be stagnant and stuck. That is an extremely important thing when it comes to looking for new jobs and new opportunities. You know, are they really supporting you? I'll give you an example. Travis right here, I've never physically met Travis, never. But Travis is helping me do my sales. So Travis, I said to him one day, I said, hey, I want you to go look online and whatever's hot right now, you let me know. Sure enough, little guy a week later tells me what's hot, tells me an investment opportunity. Travis, what do? I split with Travis evenly, even though it's my money, my investment, it's his work. And the guy who brought us together, he still got kicked in on the deal. True or not, Travis?
Yeah, that's very true.
That's growth. I didn't restrict him. You want to grow? That's how you grow. That's important. So if you're just looking for jobs, that's an important thing. Any questions on the top 5 skills to learn to find success in any field? All right. How to leverage social media for network and business growth. Well, I love this subject because it's something we talk about. We're all in this stuff. This is something I keep banging on some of my interns to do better. But let me tell you why this is important. Who the hell is going to promote you besides yourself? That's it. It's a simple answer. You have a PR, you have a publicist? Who's going to celebrate your wins if not yourself first? I always talk about Katie. Danny, I tell her I always talk about it, but this is another story. We were going through, I'm going to tell you this. This is very personal now. I'm going to tell you this. When I turned 40, obviously, you know, you guys were probably around the week or the week after, or maybe in between, I don't really remember, but I looked at Kate and I said, you know, I don't really want a present. I just kind of wanted to know I was being appreciated. And to me at this point, it doesn't even matter what I was getting. It was the meaning behind it. So Johnny, who a lot of you might know, one of my best friends, he made a picture book of us, one man to another man, 30 to 40 years old, sitting in my living room. It meant the world to me. And then I said, you know, I make Forbes and nobody shares and really celebrates. In fact, I almost get less comments when I make the news because I'm always making the news. Then I do put, I've heard you said this, then I put up my nice car. Why? And I started thinking to myself, is it because you're continuously doing this type of stuff, so therefore the expectations of you have to continuously be that way, which is very normal in sports and in business. It's when people don't notice when you're continuous, they notice when you start failing. Is it because the people around me don't really appreciate me and I'm wasting my time and I don't want to do this anymore? Is it because I don't really talk about and celebrate it? And Kate looks me dead in the eye and goes, she says, every time you make Forbes, let me tell you what you say. Yeah, I made Forbes. So to her, it was like, well, it doesn't mean anything to you, so why should it mean anything to me? So when you talk about social media, you know, that who is going to promote you if you don't promote yourself? That's a real question. Now, how do you leverage it? Well, the same reason you guys have probably looked through my social media, or at least know who I am. I'm leveraging it, and it's not all one thing. Today it's my family, tomorrow it's an inspirational quote, the next day it's something in one of my businesses. The next day it could be something that I'm doing, right? But if you notice it, it's no extremities. It's all medians. It's all medians with what I try to do. The reason I tell you that is because when you leverage your social media, there are 3 very important steps that happen. And I want you to hear this very clearly to help you with your business and your life. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to literally show you my secret that I don't really share with many people. When I meet someone new and I am trying to get a bid for them, hopefully my social media team, my interns can understand why my process is the way it is. If I'm meeting with a very, very large client, what do you think I'm putting up the very next day? Because I know they're going to go through my social media or immediately.
A picture of you with them?
No, picture of me with them, right? Because I know I'm going to be immediately in their wall. The next one, something fundamental, something phenomenal. Me with Michelle Obama, me with President Clinton, me on Forbes. Because now it's like, oh, this guy said what he is, and now he can back it up because he's doing these phenomenal things. Know your audience. So every single time, and Anna, if you really think about this, you know what I'm talking about. Every single time we have a big picture, a big client, we are on the PR train right now. Why more than ever? Because we have these massive deals depending on what we're doing. And the only thing that can help me is me promoting myself and our companies on social media to show what we're doing. That's why we're banging out so much PR right now with NACL. So we have these massive deals waiting. So who are you meeting? How can you leverage it? That's one way to leverage it. Number 2, when I meet with someone and I'm working with them and I'm trying to figure out what they want to do, I understand the things they don't like. Know your audience. That's why you don't see anything political. You've been my friends on social media for a while. So you don't see anything religious. That's why I don't even talk about sports often, because people get really butthurt. It means something to them. Right now, more than ever, there's a reason, an excuse. Listen, we're not on your social media to value your social opinion. You're not Hannity. I don't want to hear it. You're trying to leverage your market. You're trying to stay in the middle. Does anyone know what my political views are? Nobody knows what my political views are. You know why I know? Because I get left and far right from my friends. My friends are doing 10 years. They don't know what my political view is. They just don't. It makes me laugh because I'm like, you still have no idea which one I am. That's being a good business person. Your social media to leverage that is once you start talking to a client and you're trying to do something else, you leverage it. So if you have a client that you're meeting, for example, Mike, then you leverage it with a success story from another client, a testimony of your services and your brand. That's why my team, so you guys know, we're banging out so much work, and Paven is due now, and this guy is due now, because in my mind, everything's a process. And what Anna's been with me the longest, she'll tell you, my process works, and I have to understand my process. And many times people don't understand my process, but it always works out somehow. So you have to know what you're saying to them and what is the message afterwards. You're promoting yourself to show your credibility. Now you're promoting something that's successful. Third, character and legacy. Now by post 3, everyone knows the algorithms. Usually by then, you start falling off where you're at. People want to know you're not just a money-driven, successful-driven person. More so than ever, millennials have proven this. 67% of millennials care more about the character than you do about the success. That's why there's all these movements now. What is your character? What are you showing? Family, inspirational quote, something that means something to you. That matters because they don't want to know you're one-dimensional. And if you sell the service, I do expect royalties. I'm telling you this right now, at least be involved in it. I'm telling everyone here, I'm stating a fact, it's been recorded, it is what it is. But I'm telling you this because they want to know you're more than just one-sided. Are you doing that? I don't care if you get less posts, less likes. The people who have meaningful impact and the ones who are making the decisions are not the people who are sliding into your DMs and are not the people who are making comments. They're the people doing this from a distance, testing and measuring you. That's how you use social media to leverage. That is why I post what I post. As soon as we hang up, I'm posting up a CNBC article on a company that I'm part of that made CNBC with FC Barcelona's new star for a $52 million project that has a minimum cap rate of $500, and I'm the lead investor. Nobody on my team knows that right now. I just told them. Literally, as soon as that's what I put up. Why? Because you're gonna be like, damn, we just finished a session. Look, he's on CNBC. That's why. I do it to you guys, subconsciously, but I do it to you guys. That's how you do it. That's how you engage. That's how you interact. That's how I personally do it. Now, I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers yet, but I'm growing it very organically. Just so you guys know, this is a funny story. The guy who's on right now is Jeremy Roenick. If you know who Jeremy Roenick is, he's one of the greatest hockey players ever. I am ignoring him for our Pandanomics session, but I cannot make this up. So when you get to that type of level, you have to have the humility. That's what it is. That matters. Any questions there? Let me just tell him I'm gonna call him like 10 minutes. Sorry. So that's my point of the story. Any questions there? Okay.
Yeah. I actually have something, David.
Yes, Mike.
Well, social media is kind of like a big portion of like my business model, right? Being a digital marketer. But one thing that I am starting to notice is how much more impactful my personal brand is over my business's Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. One thing that I'm afraid of, I don't know what your philosophy is on this. As it is, time is very slim. So most of my attention goes to my personal brand. And I'm starting to wonder if it should be a healthy balance of putting it into the business and my personal brand, or if it should be like an 80-20 type of thing. How do you balance exposure, or let's just say social media, when it comes to personal versus your business?
We're going to love this answer because the three people that are here are involved in this process, and so are some other teammates. I'll tell you what the answer is. Everything needs equal attention, because the decision makers might not be on your personal, they might be on your business. It took me a long time to figure that out. That's why some of my companies have literally no followers, and some of my other ones do, and my personal brand does. Now, just because you don't have the followers and engagement or the likes, it doesn't mean that it's not impactful. That's why we post on LinkedIn, because the decision makers are supposed to be there. Know your audience. So with that in mind, I would definitely split it. And what helps you a lot, there's a company called Hootsuite that you pay $9-10 for, and you pre-post what you have for the week, and it goes from there. So you spend $10, you don't have any time, it's a Sunday. Obviously, if you're not this does not go against what I was talking about, the meeting part, because you're meeting someone that's impactful, you can change it, but at least it preemptively strikes when you post. I use it sometimes I don't use it, but the reality is it is there as a tool to do so, but I would definitely split up my time and go from there. Remember, your personal brand is also your business brand, and vice versa, right? Reality of it, that's how the world works right now. If someone screws up in their personal brand, do you think that the business brand doesn't get affected? It completely does. Justin Timberlake was one of my business partners. I was the distributor for William Rash jeans in China and Taiwan. True story. I had the rights to sell all his clothing. This is when I was in the clothing business. Well, you know what they told me when I was like, all right, we have Justin. I was like, I need Justin to come to Taipei and China and say hello to people. And this big company, Sequential Brands, which is the biggest group of clothing companies in the world, they said, David, we want to separate Justin from his personal brand, because if Justin does something wrong, it's going to destroy our business brand. Now think about celebrities. The initial part is always boom, 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 my brand. And then they start fading off. Why is that? Because when Tiger Woods gets busted, Gatorade stock drops. That's why. Split it up evenly. Know that one hand feeds the other, and that's the significance of it. Okay? Let me see. We're almost running out of time. I got to call Jeremy, so I'm going to do one more thing. How to stay focused on the right thing in a noisy world And how to stay mentally strong by handling stress. Actually, I'll answer both questions. How to stay focused. And if you guys have questions, do me a favor, because I do want to talk about topics, especially with more of this group, because there is a lot we can learn, but I think there's almost more learning when we do it this way. Is me just trying to teach things that might not be relative to you guys, although I will continue to do that. How to stay focused on the right thing in a noisy world? Well, one thing I really do is no matter what, at a certain time, I stop working and I start appreciating. In other words, Newt's not here, but he'll tell you by 6 o'clock, or Anna's lived with me where she'll tell you by 6 o'clock, business time is over. We're going to work out. We're going to play sports. We're going to chit chat. I'm going to play video games with my niece, whatever it is. And then I'm going to have dinner with my family, and I'm going to watch a movie. And by 11 or 12 o'clock, I'm back at work. I've done my stuff. I did what I had to do. That is so important, because the reason that you do that and the reason that you are sitting there and doing all those things to stay focused when you're right, the right thing in the noisy world, is because all those extra activities are the reason that you're doing what you're doing. And when you don't do those things, you tend to forget why you do it. And then it becomes a competition of yourself as one, as opposed to the whole. And your ego starts growing. You start to forget your reasoning behind it. And then you make bad mistakes. This is from my own personal experience. I've done it many, many times with failures. When I balance myself complete and whole, it actually helps me refocus in on why I'm doing this. It makes it worth it every single day. My bank account goes so up and down that if I looked at that, I would go crazy. If my necessity and need of people to acknowledge who I am as a human being goes so up and down, honestly, guys, I would have quit Pandanomics. I would have quit the mentor sessions 5 times ago. There's been 3 times I told Lavish, hey, I'm done with this, dude. No one's responding back. This isn't working. I'm not good at this. I'll go from there. And then all of a sudden, poof, I get a message from one of you guys. You guys inspire me just as much as I inspire you. You don't understand that when you tag me in something, it helps me want to keep doing this. It means the world to me. If I didn't tell you that, you would have never thought that it mattered. Oh, David has 100 people that like him. Yeah, but they're not the meaningful relationships that I'm developing. So how to block out that noise is to get away from everything, understand why you do it, take a deep breath, and then deep dive back into it. That's what's going to keep you focused in a world like this. Any questions on that? Okay, here's the last one. How to stay mentally strong by handling stress. In my 20s, for my young people that are here, there's a lot of young 20 people. Let me just tell you this. I needed acknowledgement, because acknowledgement was my ability to have self-esteem. Think about what I'm saying. You don't know what's going on right now. You don't know if you're doing the right things. I didn't have social media back then. Oh, I had MySpace, but it wasn't the same impactful thing. So when we put a post up, we want the acknowledgement that we're doing the right thing. That's what we base on likes and comments. As a young person, as that's happening, as anybody, you constantly have to build your self-esteem to the point where you just know who you are. Like, now you're at my age and I'm older than all of you guys. And I'm like, dude, I know who I am. I don't really care what you say. I'm good, right? Maybe I'm not good at this, but I'm good at this. If I'm not good at this, I'll drop the sessions. I'll continue to do something else. I'll charge instead of giving it for free. Maybe it's the people. I have no idea what the answers are. I don't know why there's not 200 people every single session. Maybe it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. But what I do know is this, is that when I'm trying to deal with the stress and everything that's kind of going from there and everything that's out, when I was in my 20s, I would then play victim. Well, today I got hurt. I want sympathy. Well, today so-and-so did this, so I posted online. Well, today this and this happened, so that's what I'm going to do. The sympathy is supposed to make me feel better. So subconsciously, it's growing my self-esteem. Because more people sympathize with me, I have to be right. More people like me, it means I'm definitely good. The more comments I get, I'm definitely doing the right thing. But what I realized was that was no different than a person who wears a $900 Gucci belt that says he's rich and then comes to your party and I'm going to pop bottles and then can't even chip in to buy the first 3 drinks. It's fake. It's all fake. And so when that had happened, my stress levels were almost higher because I didn't realize that the confidence and self-esteem, it takes time to be sure of who you are. And many people, at even an older age, never are awoke enough to understand that. They don't care to check their egos. That is why, if you think that what I'm telling you has been bought in by everyone in my family, I will tell you for a fact that it's not true. But I will tell you that my way of interacting with them has changed their perspective towards me and what and how I do things. That's the reality of it. So when you do stress and how you handle it, you have to detox, which is the previous thing I just said, which means you have to take back and do things that you enjoy. And Mike, this is very specifically for you, because I see you listening and working. I'm going to tell you what it is, because what happens is there's never enough time for everything. Right now, let me tell you what I'm going through, so you guys understand where we're at. I have to open downtown spaces by Monday. I literally, my phone is blowing up. I have 7 quotes that I have to make and approve of, and if the quotes aren't done in time, I lose a grant, 25 grand. I'm opening a 24,000 square foot building in the heart of downtown El Paso that no one has ever done in El Paso, next to a 14,000 square foot building that I have to renovate and redo at the same time, while opening King Crab West, while expanding King Crab East, while starting a new esports agency, while starting a sports agency, while running our NACL company, while trying to figure out how to do sales and CBD, while still trying to live my life. And that doesn't include the 8 advisory boards I'm on and all the things that are doing deadlines. I literally had 1 piece of chicken all yesterday. Over the course of the week, I've lost literally 14 pounds because that's how much stress I've gone through. I've had no time to eat. I haven't slept that much because I have so much to do in such a short amount of time. And why do I say that? Because the reality is, what the heck? Sorry, I just went at my house. Why do I do that? Because what I realized was my stress didn't balance out what I was going through. It wasn't worth it. And when I started, the thing that makes me happy right now is spending 2 hours talking to you guys. That's my balance. So what must seem like work is I don't have time. I really don't have time. But I made a commitment to balance it. This 2-hour breather helps. This morning, my niece calls me, blew up 7 times. We just started playing Xbox together. She's 4. Me and her are super, super close. You know, I love this like my own child. And I was like, at 10, she hit me up at 10. I was like, Uncle can play for 10:30, 11, Roblox. And I had to call at 11. So I jump on, and for 30 minutes I'm playing, and then I'm happy. And that got me to the next 3 hours, which then led me to this. And as soon as we're done, I got to grind for another 3 hours of hell. And I'm going to play Roblox with my niece again. It's going to make me happy. And then I'm going to have dinner with my fiance, which is going to make me happy. That's what I mean by stress. Stress is conducive to yourself. If you don't have mental health, you have no wealth. If you have no happiness, there's no purpose. If you don't, no amount of money can ever fulfill that. That's why they mean by happiness, money does not buy happiness. It's not, oh, you have all the money in the world and I have no money, and that's why I'm more happy than you. That's a crock of crap, because being broke doesn't buy anything. But if you don't take a break and a deep dive and a moment to yourself and a deep breath, what happens? It's consistent energy and chaos. And then what happens? You're off tilted. Now the world's coming. Now all these people are bothering you and all these things, and now you're like this. And that's how a lot of us are, because the world is already effed up as it is. Throw COVID into it. Throw all the other problems in the world that you're watching on the daily news. And now you're really off kilter. Well, we can't control those things, but to refocus on things that we can. Find your peace and your love. Find things that make you happy. Even if it's 20 minutes. When I'm really off, I spend 15 minutes just meditating, and it makes me focus back on what I want to do. But whatever the answer is, and there's no right answer because it's up to you, find it now and stick with that happiness, and it could change. It could totally utterly change. That's okay. You can do different things. You know, you can have different hobbies, but find that one Zen place that's in your head in a moment. I'll show you this. When I talk about surrounding myself with energy and things like that. So my phone, right? My background is my fiance and my dog. And then when I go to this, it's my niece, right? And around me is my energy. This was written to me from the Dean of Arkansas State for a speech I did a month ago. This is the company I invested in. These are my buildings. Right here. That's a $200 controller that was given to me by FaZe, right? Group makes me just laugh. So I think he's hilarious, right? The flowers obviously Katie aren't that good taste. But my point that I'm trying to make across is that I surround myself, even on my phone, even what I listen to, even what I watch, with things that make me happy. And even if I go to work and it's not something I really want to do, or I deal with people I don't really want to deal with, that energy overall makes me feel balanced. You have to be more than 51% happy in order to be really happy. So everything around me, from what I watch and what I eat and what I see, is based on happiness. Nothing else matters at that point to me. That's how I balance out my life. And that's how I avoid stress. That's how I grow my confidence, my self-esteem as a human being. And that's what I tell you guys you should do. Find your happiness. It's not hard. You know, another running joke is, before I hang up, is I was really poor as a kid, as I've mentioned, couldn't afford Legos. For about a good year and a half, I bought nothing but Legos. I'm a 39-year-old man who's been on Forbes 15 times. Do you think I own a Rolls Royce? Do you think I care that I own Legos? My interns, when they popped up at my place, were like, yo, this is Lego Town. I'm like, yeah, I have all my characters. It's my happiness. It's what makes me happy. And if it's going back to play with my damn Legos as a kid because I can afford it, I don't care. You want to judge me? Cool. You're on Forbes? No, then F off. For me, it's my happiness. So that's what I'm saying. Video games, why I love it so much, it's what made me happy. It's what makes me happy. And sometimes I'll take a break. I'll play 30 minutes. I'll jump back on to work. You've got to do that. Because if not, that energy that you guys keep feeling, that stress, keeps evolving and it throws you off kilter. So that's how I would stay not stressed in a world of today. Any questions before we hang up? No? Okay, well, we'll end our final session as we always talk about things that we're grateful for. So I'm going to start with Ashley. Go ahead and say what you're grateful for this week. What are you grateful for this week? This is important.
I'm grateful that I am done with my NCLEX and I can move forward with my hobbies and DJing and all the stuff that I enjoy.
Awesome. Mike, what about you?
You know what, I'm really grateful that business is good. Been picking up clients left and right, you know, partially because of COVID. And being purely digital helps a lot. You know, seeing the writing on the wall put me into the position today that I wasn't 100% sure I would be a few years ago, you know.
Awesome. Jess, what about you?
I'm grateful for my health. I've had a lot of people around me kind of been struggling with that, so I'm really grateful for that.
That's amazing. Lauren?
I'm grateful for my boyfriend and his support.
Amazing. Travis?
Yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm just happy that I have a close group of friends that I can talk to on a daily basis.
Awesome. Lily?
I'm grateful just like for my finances right now. Like I'm doing pretty good. And this week I saw like somebody struggling and I really wish I could have helped them right then and there, but I was just kind of busy and I feel really bad that I didn't take the time. But I'm just grateful right now for my finances.
Amazing. Danny, what about you?
Honestly, well, it may be a little bit materialistic, but I'm pretty grateful for my camera because it's actually brought me a lot of opportunities lately that I'm really proud of.
That's amazing. And Anna?
I am grateful for my mom for supporting me a lot and for helping facilitate me learning, giving me like opportunities to learn. And I'm grateful for you for being a good mentor.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right, guys, have a great week. Don't forget, we have our session again next Thursday. Please try to make it on Friday. I'd love to meet everybody here. Please reserve with Newt. Please take the time to do that, and we'll go from there. Okay? Have a great week. Anything else, let me know, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.